So welcome back to the Revit project tutorials. This is the last tutorial in set 4, and in this tutorial we'll be looking at how we can start to extract 2D drawings from our building model, creating sheets and laying those drawings on those sheets. And that will lead to set 5, which is our final tutorial set. Set 5 will look at dimensioning and annotation. It'll also look at construction detailing, rendering a view, and finally printing your entire drawing set to a PDF file. Okay, so let's start by looking at extracting 2D drawings. Now, the process of extracting 2D drawings is very much minimal. They've already been provided in all the floor plans, elevations and section views that you've been working with to date. So the views are there and they are also your 2D drawing. So what you will be doing is just bringing in those views onto a sheet. So that's as far as extracting 2D drawing goes. Things you do have to keep in mind though is what you see in your, let's say for an example, your floor plan is what you'll see on your sheet. So you need to manipulate the visibility of elements, so elements that you don't want to see you need to turn off, as well as any underlays. So if, say for an example, you're in the bar first floor, and the underlay which I've got here, which shows me the ground floor, is what I turned on so I can actually see what's underneath. It helps me model. When I'm ready to put that in a sheet, you might want to turn that off if you don't want to see that on your drawing, like so. So when you're up to this stage, make sure you go through each of the floor plans, elevations and sections, and just have a look at what you want to see, what you don't want to see, and turn them on and off accordingly. If there are other things that you can clean up, such as these level symbols, you can clean them up straight away, and I've just pulled them out of the way so they don't disrupt with the line work. This is my section line, which I'm just going to break and pull up. You can actually turn that off if you don't want to view it in this view. So if a section line is not necessary in this view, which in this case it wouldn't be, bring up the visibility graphics and you can turn them off here. So section lines are actually in a annotation category, so you can find it in the annotation category. If you scroll down, you should see section, here we go, let's turn it off, apply, and it's off. Now all of these symbols are part of the annotation category, so it's actually not a model element. So you'd find that in the annotation categories if you're looking to turn them off. Okay, so let's move on to sheets, and we can come back to views a little bit later and how we can manipulate that even further. If you scroll down in the project browser, you'll see a category called Sheets, and there should be a default one there called A101 Unnamed. If you double click that, you'll see what it looks like. Now, what you have in front of you should be the default sheet that's already been loaded in the project, and you can see if you scroll into some of the details there, that there are details about the project that you can actually fill up. I'm just going to leave it as is, and I'm going to right click on this sheet. I'm going to delete it because I will show you how you can create one from scratch. Okay, so that's been deleted. Now to create a sheet, you need to go into the View tab, Sheet Composition, which is where you'll find all the sheet tools, and just the sheet tool there. So that will create a new sheet for me. If you click on that button, the first thing you'll see is a prompt to select a title block, and at the moment we've only got one title block loaded for us. It's the A0 metric in landscape orientation. That's not what we want. We want to put our drawings on A1 at landscape orientation. So what we will need to do is load in a title block family, a bit like all the other families we load in. So up here you'll see the load button. Click on that and it'll open up the family libraries, so you're familiar with that. Now you need to scroll down until you see title blocks. Now I'm using the family libraries because it'd be appropriate for our area. If you're using another type of title block, just be aware that you may need to change it as well. Now here's my A1 metric. I just need to open that. It'll list it here. Make sure you get it, have it selected, and press OK. Over here on the left hand side in the project browser, you'll see here's our first sheet. It's taken on the next number from the first one that was there. That doesn't matter, we'll change that anyway. But you can see that it's also loaded our A1 title block. Now that title block is exactly at A1, one-to-one if it were to be printed out. So what we will need to do with our drawings obviously is to scale it down when we place it on it. Okay, so if you scroll into the details of the title block, you can see a number of fields there. Now if you click on one, okay, and then click on it again, so twice, you'll be able to edit. So I can just put in my name there, which I suggest you do, and your student number as well, so that we know it's you. Under the project name, you can just call it the course if you like, or you can give it some other name. That's up to you, as long as your name and student number is there, so we know that this drawing is yours. In here you can put in the name of the drawing. So let's say I'm going to put in the ground floor first. So this is a ground floor plan, so I've named that accordingly. And you can continue with all the other fields. I'm just going to quickly fill this out. Now the author would be just initials, because I was the one who drew it, and checked you can just leave as 0 if you like. And onto the last one here. Now this is called your drawing number, and your drawing number is made up of your project number and your sheet number. So generally that's what it's made up of in a typical practice, which allows us to identify what project it is and what sheet it is in a particular sheet set, because you will have more than one sheet in a sheet set. The A in the front generally identifies the disciplines. So A could be architecture, it could be engineering, it could be anything. Now you can use whatever naming protocol you like for your sheet, as long as it's consistent. So as long as all the other sheets in your set follows the same protocol. Now for my number, I'm just going to leave it as A for architecture. I'm going to put in my project number, which just happens to be the course number, and my sheet number, which is 01. So this is the first sheet in my set. Okay, so you can see there, that's my entire number. If that's too long, just get rid of the B and B. So you can use whatever suits you. And you can see over in the left hand side in the project browser, it's actually changed it dynamically as well, and put in the name of the sheet in there. Now every time you create a sheet, you'd need to do that because it will just load in the A1 template, which has no values, and you have to do that every time you create a sheet. Now a better way of approaching this is to create a title block for this project. So you've got a title block, an A1 metric title block, which you can use in any project, but I'm going to duplicate this particular template and rename it for my project, so that I don't have to constantly fill out these fields. And the way to do that is a little bit like what we've been doing with some of the other elements. You select it, go over here in the edit type, and duplicate it. So I'm going to call this BENV 2425 landscape A1. Okay, so it's identified with a particular project. Press OK. There it is, and now I can change it. Okay, so now this is the title block that I'll be changing, and at this point I can select it and go straight to the edit family. Okay, and what it'll do is open up the source family file, except remember this is a duplicate that I'm changing, and I can actually change some of these values straight away. So let's say for an example, I'm just going to take that client name, and if you go over into the properties palette on the left hand side, find a field called label and click on the edit button. It'll allow you to change certain things about that label. You can change the parameter name if you like. I'm just going to change the sample value. Okay, so there's my name. You can change it to designer, that's up to you. Now what that does is change the display value. So when you actually place into a project, that's what you see as the display text. Now that could still be changed inside a project. It's parametric, so you can still change it. But what that does is save me a little bit of time by just having to change it in every sheet. It's already there. Okay, I'm just going to quickly change the project 1 too. Now by doing this, you do get a little bit of an understanding of how labels are created in a family. And if you wanted to create your own, at least you can understand a little bit of how it behaves. Okay, so that's that. I'm going to leave this alone because that will vary sheet by sheet, and maybe some of the others will vary as well. I might just change the drawn to TN, but you could have another drawer as well. So the others would change. I'm just going to leave that set, move up to the top, and you can customize whatever you like in this title block. I'm just going to delete some of the things on top, and let's say put in an image. So in the insert import, I'm just going to put in an image. Here's my beautiful logo. It's going to scroll out because I can see that the image is a lot bigger than what I want. Click inside and then just squeeze that down to the size that I want. Okay, so you can actually put in an image, a logo if you have that. Okay, so there's my image, and you can put in whatever you like as well. So customize it to your liking, and once you've finished, you can save it as your own family file. So you can actually save it as an independent family if you like, and load it into other things. I'm just going to load it directly into the project. I've already duplicated it as a family type, and if you saw that prompting, it asked me if I wanted to overwrite the existing version. I press yes because I've already duplicated as a different family type, and I just want to overwrite that particular one. Okay, so you can see my sheet has changed. If I select it, the family type is still there, and it's got my new image, and it's also got all the display information as well. Let's test that to see if it does come through properly. So let's create a new sheet. I'm just going to go down here so I can actually see everything. Okay, let's go back into view. Let's create a new sheet. I'm going to select, here it is, that's the family type that I want. Press OK, and bingo, we have the new display values there, as well as our new logo up here. And of course now I don't have to go and change that, I just have to change the project, the drawing details. So you can actually see that Revit has tried to name this sequentially, so I don't have to do much here except maybe just put in a drawing name so that I can see very quickly what it is. Okay, so the process of creating sheets are very straightforward, and you can just go and create all of your sheets if you like. Click of a button, make sure you've got your right title block. Once you've got that loaded, then just go in and quickly change the drawing details. Actually, I might call this cross section. Like so, and make sure everything is correct. Make sure that you have the numbering correct as well. I just might make this a little bit more consistent. Okay, so there it is. So I might just put in a 0 there, and the same with here. So whatever it is that you think of, make sure it's consistent all along the line. That one didn't actually remember. There you go. And the other thing, of course, you need to remember is the order of how you want to display those drawings in that drawing set. So I've started off with large scale drawings, so started off with the ground floor, move up to the first floor, and then to the cross section, and eventually as I have more sheets I will introduce detailed drawings, so something of a smaller scale. So always start with large scales. Now of course if you have a site plan, that would go before all of the floor plans. Okay, so we have 3 sheets there ready to go. What we need to do now is actually put drawings on them, so they're blank at the moment. Now there's 2 ways to do that. The first way is to open up your sheet, and in the View tab sheet composition panel you'll find a button called View or Place View. If you click on that, make sure you save your project of course. Revit will give you a list of every single view within your project. And at this point you can just scroll down and select the view that you want. There's my floor plan, it's the bar ground floor plan. Click Add to View to Sheet, and all you have to do is click somewhere on the sheet. Okay, don't worry too much about what you're seeing, we'll clean it up in a second. So you can see that there's our floor plan there. Now before we come back to cleaning this up, I just want to show you the other method you can use. You can open up another sheet there. Now while this is open you can actually scroll back in the project browser to find the view that you want. Don't double click on the view that you want, just click once and then drag it into your view or into your sheet like so. Okay, and that will do exactly the same thing. So that's the second method you can use. Now let's go back into my first sheet. Okay, so obviously it's placed the view in, but it's a bit messy. It's past my sheet boundaries and I want to clean up what I want to see on this sheet. So the first thing is let's cut this boundary down so that we see just what we want. And of course let's scale this drawing to the scale that we want. I'll actually start with that first. So to change the scale of a drawing, now we know that the plan has to be shown at 1:50 on our sheet. So to change the scale you just need to select that view, and over in the properties palette, okay, just make sure you'll see a view scale. Just change that to 1:50. Okay, and you can see that the drawing has actually gone bigger because it's a smaller scale. Okay, so that's the first step. We've got the scale that we want, and we can see that that should fit on the sheet perfectly. If it doesn't, you may need to look into a 1:100 scale, or separate your bar from your units if you're trying to fit everything on one sheet. Okay, so the next step would be to crop this down so that we see just what we want. And to do that you need to select that viewport, and this is called a viewport. If you go up in the contextual tab in the viewport panel, click on the active view button. Now what that will do is grey out your title block and activate the view for you. So this viewport is actually a view into your original ground floor. And by activating the view, it allows you to stay within this sheet file, but hop into that view so you can make modifications. And as you can see, as I move my mouse around, the elements inside that view highlight, which indicates that I can actually continue modeling within that view if I like. So I'm in the active view itself, so if that makes sense. Okay, so while I'm in here, I can actually select the boundaries of that if it allows me to. Now if you can't see the boundaries of this drawing, and all I can see is the boundary of the topography, you need to go down to the control bar down here, and there should be a tool called Show Crop Region there. If you click on that, the light bulb will actually look like it's turned on. You'll automatically see a box around your view. Now you can just click on that box and grab the blue control circles and drag it in until you crop just what you want to see on this drawing, like so. Now right next to that show crop boundary, show crop region tool, you'll see a crop view tool. If you click on that, it'll crop the view to the new boundary that you just defined. If you click on it again, it'll show the rest of it. So you can toggle between the two when you need it. Now that's what I want. So once you've got what you want, if you right click on this anywhere in the drawing window and go to deactivate view, it'll hop out of that view for you, so it's no longer active, and you're back into your sheet view. Now at this stage you can just grab that window and move it to the center of your sheet. Okay, and if you want to crop it even further, you have to go through the same process of activating the view, selecting that, cropping it down, and then deactivating the view. Okay, so constantly going through activation and deactivation. Now with this little title right at the bottom, if you want to move that, you need to just select that title and drag it in. So you might want to drag it in onto the sheet like that. Now I might want to crop that, once again, crop that view even further. So you can actually right click and activate view, or go up to here. Either way, it's the same tool, and crop that even further. It's up to you how far you want to crop that, and then of course deactivate, and you can just move it up. And if you just want to move the title by itself, you just need to make sure you select just the title by itself. Now to shorten this title, you need to actually select the viewport itself. So not just the title by itself, but the viewport as well. That will give you this blue anchor control symbol, which you can just grab and drag in. Okay, so it's nice and neat. Now if you look closely at the title, it's already placed my drawing name in there, the scale that this has been placed in, and this is the first drawing on this sheet, so it automatically references everything for you as well. So let's quickly do the same for the first floor. Same process, so let's first activate the view. You can activate the view first or just change the scale straight away, so I might change the scale first. Okay, so now it's a lot bigger, and then I'll activate the view by right clicking or selecting this button up here. Now turning on the crop region so I can see it, cropping down to what I want to see. Making sure that it is cropping it, so you can see that as I toggle between the two, it crops it for me. And then deactivating that view, and then just moving it over until it fits onto my sheet. I'm doing this roughly, just make sure that you do it carefully, and of course selecting the viewport so I can drag that title back. Now of course when you've got your drawing set and you don't want to see these unsightly boundary lines, you can just turn them off. So what you would need to do is activate the view, and then down here turn the crop region off. Leave the crop view because you still want it cropped, you just don't want to see that boundary line. So once you've done that, you can deactivate view and come out again. Now of course you will need to also clean up the contents of the drawing as well. Now you don't have to go to the original plan to do that, because this is a view into the original plan. What you're doing here will essentially change the original plan anyway. So I've activated the view. I can now do what I like to this view, and I'm cropping that section line so it's not so far away and it's not interfering with the line work. Oops. And I'm just selecting the section, clicking on the break there and using the circles to drag the endpoints over. So let's deactivate that view and get out of it. Now if we move to our original floor plan, here it is, you can see that the changes have been reflected here. So and that will work vice versa as well. So if you do something to your model here, the sheets will update immediately, which means you can actually create sheets at any stage of your model building. You can do it right at the beginning if you like, and place your views on it, knowing that as you actually model and as you make changes, the changes will be reflected immediately on your sheets. I'm just going to quickly do a section and we'll end there, because you should have enough to create the rest of your sheets. So here's my section sheet, and I can just go in and add that view. Let's choose my longitudinal section, add view. Here's my longitudinal section. I'm just going to change the scale straight away so it's a lot larger. Move it into place, activate the view, and I'm just going to turn the crop region on, which is already there. It's already cropped it to what I want, so that's fine, and the view has already been cropped, so that's fine. I'm just going to, while I'm here, drag that section view down, or turn it off altogether. So in here I can actually access the visibility graphics, turn off that section because I don't want to see it in this view. Okay, so that's off. Before I leave, I'm going to hide that crop view so I don't see the unsightly boundary, and then deactivate the view and move whatever I need to over. So there's my section, and you can put the cross section in here as well, and they should both fit at 1:50 on this A1 sheet. So that ends this introduction to sheets and drawing layouts. We will come back to this as we're generating our detailed drawings, and I'll show you how you can put two drawings at different scales on a sheet, how you can lay it out so it's actually read cleanly, and how a drawing set actually works with annotation, dimensioning, and cross-referencing symbols.